Hello and welcome to this month's Car Talk podcast. In this episode we'll be talking about our motoring assumptions, but more of that later on. In this episode we'll be doing the latest car news and transportational opinion, and joining me as ever is Bailey Prickett.
Hello, how are you doing, Matty?
With a delayed reaction there. And also joining us from his house in Scotland, we've got this month's special guest. He's a YouTuber, valeter and home and bargain worker. It is, of course, Lewis Mackland.
Hello, Matty and Bailey.
Hello, Lewis. Good to have you on.
Yeah,
thank you.
Three skinny men on a podcast. So, Lewis, I guess my first question to you is, where did you get the balls to go into car valeting? I mean, you're not only in retail, which is a hard job, but fucking car valeting. I mean, how are you still doing it?
I ask myself that quite a lot. It came out of boredom, really. I'd finished school, I was waiting on university results, and I was looking for something to do. Yeah. I had a part-time job in the motor trade with a slightly dodgy used car dealer. And I was looking for sort of more hours, more money. And I'd always liked looking after the cars we had at that point. I had my little Toyota Aygo at that point.
Yeah.
And I was wanting to get that looking good, and I was learning about how to do that. And I thought other people might want those sort of services on their cars. So I just did a few friends and neighbours to begin with. Put it on Facebook, the wonderful thing that is Facebook.
Yeah.
And then here we are today.
Well, it is brilliant. I mean, I don't professionally valet my car, but it is a nice feeling when it's clean.
Definitely,
yeah.
But I do, honestly, me heart goes out to any valeter who does it for a job, because if it's not Mother Nature that ruins the outside, it's just the mother or whoever owns the car that ruins the inside.
I've seen some sites.
Oh, mate, in the used car business, I've also seen some sites, the things that people, the state, make you sick. If it's a Nissan X-Trail that comes in as a Part X, it probably stinks of dog. I can tell you that.
Especially if it's the 7-seat version as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Lewis, my next question would be to you then. Obviously, we've discussed your valeting, which I think is very cool. I've seen your Instagram, and it's you do a really good job of stuff, like better than I could do any time. But what do you drive at the moment? Tell the ladies and gentlemen what cars you own. I say cars because you've got two, haven't you?
You've just got a new one.
I'd like to chop and change every 6 months, but
nice.
At this point in time, my normal car is a 2018 MG3.
Nice.
It's one of the last of the old shapes. It's white with anthracite wheels.
Yeah.
And then the work van is a 2010 BMW 320d Estate.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I like that.
It's a nice car.
I've had it 2 months now.
And how's that been? Is it been really good?
Yeah, apart from the one slight mechanical hiccup I had a couple of weeks ago, it's been perfect. Much better than the vehicle it replaced.
Oh,
yeah, because didn't you have that van before, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a Peugeot Partner van, which was an absolute wreck.
Just talking about your MG, Lewis, because we've had a few of these in work, so I've driven a few of them, the old shape ones. Yours is obviously that shape on a very, very late end of the line. And people
March 18.
Lovely cars, because people always ask me, well, if your Saxo got written off tomorrow, what car would you buy? And I never know. And it's funny because I liked your Toyota Aygo that you used to have.
Yeah.
And I also like the MG, and as well, something I could buy an MG3, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't have to press the clutch to start the engine. Very important factor for me.
Well, that's like on my car though. I've never had to. To be fair, this is a good conversation thing actually, because I've actually never put the clutch down to start an engine, especially on my Seat that I had previously. And
it's so shit the way you have to do that.
Do you have to do that on yours?
It won't let you. Sorry to interrupt. If it's in a gear and you turn the key, it doesn't do anything.
Really?
Right.
Yeah. So you can only start it if it is in neutral.
Yeah.
With not touching the clutch, but I tend to do it out of habit anyway.
No, what I'm saying, Bailey, is that my Saxo, you don't have to press the clutch, but all the modern cars now, seemingly apart from this MG3, you have to press the clutch to start in it, and it just is
right.
complete
That makes
deal
sense.
breaker for me.
Well, that's the thing, because I think the reason they do that is because of a lot of them have the start-stop thing, and that requires the clutch being pushed down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a safety thing as well, so that people don't end up with a Seat Leon in the living room by mistake if they've left it in gear. Nearly happened a few times.
Do you have any more questions for Lewis, Bailey?
I'm trying to think of a question now, actually. I mean, obviously going back to sort of the valeting, Lewis, I'm quite into my car, and obviously like washing it is a big thing because you want to make it look good. And I'm always pretty crap at it. So is there any tips you could give me in washing my car, like
Good
sort of
question.
the method, or what sort of equipment you use and things?
I think the pre-wash stage is actually as important, if not more important, than the actual washing stage.
Okay.
So a really good clean of all the wheels and the wheel arches makes a big difference.
So you just use a jet wash for that then?
Yeah, and a non-acidic wheel cleaner, and sometimes fallout remover, depending on the condition of it. But
So these are all big words to me. I don't know what any of those mean. Can you explain?
So a fallout. So you've got metal brake discs and metal brake pads.
Yeah.
And then when those two rub together, you get iron particles that fling up
Okay.
onto the paintwork, and it gets hot and wet from the brakes and the weather, and then it sticks itself onto the paintwork.
Oh, right. Okay.
This
So
really is a science, isn't it?
Yeah.
Valeting?
Yeah.
You'd probably kill me if you've seen the way I valeted my car. I've only just started doing the 2-bucket method. Before that, I just used the same bucket, not a jet wash in sight.
Well, Lewis, can I ask you if I'm doing it right? Because actually, what I start with usually is I do a sort of a wash over, like you said, the pre-wash, and I wash all the rims, and literally I just do it with water, so I don't use any kind of detergent for that. And then what I do after that is I add the snow foam on it, let that settle for about 10 minutes, and then I basically go over the rims again with a brush and brush those, and then rinse all that off, and then get the bucket with the hand washer thing, and then sort of go over that with soap, and then wash it again, and I'll do a finishing wax at the end. I don't know if that's how you do it. You're probably a bit more advanced.
Bailey, that sounds just about right. If you're struggling to get brake dust off, spray wheel cleaner onto the wheels first
Yeah.
to let that soak. It depends on how often you wash your car and your driving condition, if you get much brake dust, but if you are struggling, then just get a fairly normal wheel cleaner.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I do wash it quite often. I do it maybe sort of a couple of weeks. But like within the first sort of day, it's already dusty. It's just because of how low it is like onto the floor. So it just gets the dust from everything else in the sort of environment. But I'm glad that I'm doing something decent. That's reassuring.
Having a good wax on the car would make life easier for next time, especially in the winter. So then when you come to hose it off, all the rubbish sort of just like falls itself off rather than sticking onto the paint.
Yeah. Okay.
It's lovely the way our podcast has turned into Bailey asking for personal advice from you, Lewis. Are you charging him for this?
Can I come up and get my car valeted from you?
It'd be dusty by the time you get back.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trek. I don't think my extension lead will reach. Sorry.
Well, I'm going down to Bailey next week, so if I come to you first, Lewis, I'll just drag the extension lead on the back of my car all the way down.
Yeah.
See if
Well,
it
you need
reaches.
an extension lead to go to Matty's house, and then you need an extension lead from there to come down to me.
Just be careful on roundabouts, you don't get tangled up on lampposts.
That's my next question, Lewis. Actually, whereabouts in Scotland are you from then? Because obviously you've got quite a strong accent, so I'm just wondering where. Yeah.
Not as strong as Matthew's accent, I don't think.
Well, no, I agree with that.
the council area I live in is Aberdeenshire, so it's on the northeast coast.
Oh yeah, I think I know where that is.
It's the bit that sticks out.
Yeah, okay.
It's the northeast, like the triangle-y bit that sticks out. I'm just not far from the coast there.
Ah, cool. It's funny because we're actually doing the I'm doing the Scottish 500 with my mate in
Cool.
September. So can I come and get my car valeted from you then?
Yeah, pop up, yeah.
Nice one. Sounds good.
Swinging by.
Should we move on to?
We should possibly move on. Yes.
Yeah, to this week's car news. Would you like to go first, Lewis, seeing as you're the special guest?
Thank you, yes. I have some good news for once.
Good news.
We all need it. The 2021 Goodyear Festival of Speed is to go ahead at full capacity.
Yes.
Yay! Something a bit normal and exciting happening.
Yes, the fact that it says full capacity is very inviting because
it's very, very encouraging. It's been so nice watching the YouTubers I watch finally sort of doing shows and going round shows rather than just doing like live streams and things like that. So
yeah,
it certainly is good news. Where is the Goodwood Festival? I've heard of it, but
It is Sussex. It is Goodwood itself, but the county is Sussex. It's this far south
so
coast.
I think it's like Chichester, isn't it? I mean, it's not
Chichester.
very far from me. It's about
it's
about
on
an
the
hour
so it's
and
by the
10.
coast then.
Yeah, nearish,
Yeah.
sort of near, around there.
Okay.
It's the 8th to the 11th of July.
So
That's the
anyone
one.
interested in the Goodwood Festival of Speed, 8th to the 11th of July in Sussex.
Very specific. So, Lewis, how long is the drive for you then to go to Goodwood? Obviously, I'm guessing you camp there, or have you actually ever been? That's my next question.
I haven't been to Goodwood, no, but the furthest I really should go, the furthest south I'm going to is I'm going to Gaydon, Warwickshire that weekend as well.
Brilliant. I really want to go there.
Yeah, it's for the BMC and Leyland Day, which
yeah.
is right up my street, 'cause I love that sort of
Yes.
tap.
Yes, me too. I mean, that's what I'm glad you said that because that made it just sound like I wanted to go to Gaydon. I don't. I want to go to that show. But yeah, it is annoying the way all the bloody motoring shows are down south. Like, why isn't there any up north?
Well, it's because it's all middle class down there, so everyone's got the money for supercars.
It's always raining up here as well.
You should see down here, it rains. It's been raining all week.
Yeah, it might be a middle class thing then.
Yeah.
Do you have any car news for this week, Bailey?
I do, but it's kind of more motoring news and specifically new car news. And I just found this sort of blog post on one of the other car things we won't mention the name of, and it says the illegal hotspot car modifications hotspots revealed, which is I found quite interesting because obviously I've got a modded car which is all declared and everything. Just reading into like sort of the areas that have the top 10 offences. So number one's Gloucestershire, which is quite surprising. Not that there's anything there.
Yeah.
Norfolk, Northern Ireland, Suffolk, London, Surrey, Northamptonshire, Dayford, Power. I don't know how you say that. I've never known how to say that. Greater Manchester and Leicestershire. And would you two like to guess what was the top thing that they were caught for?
Well, I know because I read it.
Yes.
So should I just guess? I don't know.
Lewis, do you have any idea?
So the number one undeclared modification.
Yeah, or like altered, modification or thing that's not allowed or it's illegal.
Suspension.
Exhaust noises.
That was one of them, but that's not the top one.
Ooh.
The top one, I was surprised by this actually. It's the altered number plate. So I'm guessing like the positioning and sort of the lettering and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which,
Or the 4D
You see
plates.
quite a lot of those,
Yeah.
and you wonder how they get away with it.
I had no idea, but it's just I found that quite interesting. I thought of a bit of a different sort of news bit that I thought I'd mention.
Yeah.
So that's that,
Some statistics.
Yeah.
I've got some news, new car news.
Cool.
A little bit out of my patch, really, because it's about a hot hatch that we've got, brand new hot hatch, the hot new Hyundai I20n. It's on sale now from 25 grand. I mean, it looks like a dog's dinner, but I'm sure it goes brilliantly.
This is the thing, Matty. I really liked I still really like the i30n Hyundai, which is obviously the sort of bigger version.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant car. I think it's very similar to a Golf in terms of specs, like a Golf R or GTI, I think.
Yeah, well, it's got a 1.6 litre four-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine. Brilliant. 6-speed gearbox. I found that we needed a 6-speed gearbox in the
Is it
Fiesta.
a manual?
It's going to say manual.
Manual
That's
gearbox.
good.
No diesel. No dual clutch automatic version. 201 brake horsepower.
That sounds actually quite good. Have you got a picture of it? We'll bring a picture up on the screen.
Yes, I can send you a picture.
I think it looks like the new GR Yaris from behind. Anyone else join me on that train of thought?
Do you think they got inspiration?
Yeah, I do see that.
The front looks unique, but I think the back, the way they've done how the tail lights meet the window looks sort of...
I really like that, you know? I think the whole composition of it is quite, it's got lots of curves, it looks really sort of out there, and it's, the fact that it's got the 6-speed and it's a, 1.6 turbo, Matty.
Yes.
I think that's quite an overall appealing car, especially for a sports hatchback. So I'm quite into that.
Yeah, 200 horsepower and something the size of an I20 is wicked.
Well, exactly. It probably doesn't weigh anything
much
either.
More than a Fiesta ST, I think.
Yeah, and this is an unpopular opinion. I'd actually have that over a Fiesta ST.
Yeah, I think a Fiesta ST only does 180 bhp. On my review, I said it does 180 miles an hour, so that was a bit wrong. But
maybe if you're down a hill.
The chavs probably think it does, but it doesn't. They probably say they get to that in the Mackey's car park, but that's about it.
Yeah, top speed on this I20 of 143.
That's not bad.
That's
better than my MX-5, and my MX-5's 1.8, and it's half the size. So good stuff.
Anyone else got any more car news?
I do. I've got a new Peugeot 308 SW Estate, which actually looks very good.
I'm not interested.
You're not interested?
The first one of the day.
Hey, there we go. Why are you not interested, Lewis? Because I thought that, when I first looked at it, it's another Peugeot, but actually looking a bit more into it, it's got the choice of a 1.2 petrol engine or a 1.5 diesel, producing 128 brake horsepower, or you can get a plug-in hybrid one, which is a bit more in terms of brake horsepower. But I think Peugeot, for me, have been a brand that's sort of driven by idiots, but actually now I think they've started to jump on the horse and actually sort of make some good-looking cars.
Actually, I take that back. It looks quite nice.
Better than an SUV.
Yes, 100%.
The 508 is a lovely car, and the 208 is a really nice car. So
I
Peugeot
agree.
are quite good at the moment.
And we've definitely touched upon
driven one.
Peugeot. No, I haven't driven on either. But.
Yeah, we definitely have offended some Peugeotites in the past on this podcast, saying that we weren't interested in the appointment of their new CEO and things like that. I'm ready to offend Nissan if anybody else is interested. Just a quick headline here. The new Nissan Qashqai production begins in Sunderland. Great. Right,
I'm not interested
in that. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Have you got any more car news, Lewis?
Well, just in case the Land Rover Defender, the new one, 110, wasn't enormous enough, there's been camouflage shots of a extended wheelbase 130 version. Traditionally, the numbers stood for the wheelbase in inches, but they're not doing that anymore, but they're keeping the names the same. It does look rather huge, especially from the back.
And that, do you know what it reminds me of actually is the original Defender, the sort of the enlarged version of the 110, of the previous one. That sort of the hanging back out of it, and I just kind of want a ladder now and a big sort of roof box on it and looked really good. But
I do like the Defender. I mean, I know a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people like, it's not a proper farmer's car, is it? But I don't know.
It's a farmer that's got a bit of money and that likes to drive around in luxury.
Yeah, it's a yuppie farmer, basically.
Yeah.
But it's like the original Mini. It was great, but it couldn't stay like that forever, could it?
Yeah.
Same with the Defender. I guess it could have stayed like that. Yeah.
Fundamentally, with the Defender, it'll climb every mountain and wade every stream that the old one did, and more. It's not like they've made it look cool but not actually do anything. It is serious off-roader.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Although the way it off-roads is completely different to an old Defender.
Well, it's less sort of big metal levers and things and more electronics. I just hope they don't break on the poor farmer.
I've got some good news here. Well, actually, it's more sort of just general news on a car, and specifically 3 cars that are being sold at the moment. Basically, there's 3 rare Aston Martin DB5 triplets for sale.
Wow!
Guess what the price is? £4 million, and that includes the Vantage Coupe, the one you see in the Bond films, the convertible, and the ultra rare shooting brake. And they were all in the hands of a private collector for 12 years. So if anyone listening wants to buy these 3 cars, and head over to London or wherever it is they're selling it, to pay £4 million, and I definitely would, because they look immaculate. They
so it's 4 million for free
for all of them, yeah.
For all, yeah.
I believe so, yeah. But I just thought I'd bring that up because I think that's very cool that they've got all the sort of 3 DB5 cars.
I hope they struggle to sell them.
Yeah.
I really do.
They must have kept the value so much because, as I said, they, is owned by sort of one person. Like, they're collected for 12 years, and they probably didn't drive them at all. So
it's not fair though. Like, someone's gonna pay 4 million for them. No one's buying my Volkswagen Golf that's in mint condition either for fucking a fraction of that price. No one wants to buy it. And someone's gonna hand over 4 million for 3 old. Oh well, they are good, but
this is a bit different to a Golf, Matty. I'll be honest. Just look at it. Look at those 3 babies. They're just they're wanting to be newly homed, and
mine's red, so
I'm not interested in red. But
well, I've got some strange news this week from Dacia. As you may remember, on last month's podcast, we featured the rather crudely named Dacia Bigster. As well, I seem to have become Dacia's correspondent for the podcast. Every time a Dacia worker breathes in the factory, I'm up there with the helicopter reporting on it. Dacia this week have revealed their new logo, which was designed on Microsoft Paint in 3 minutes flat.
Or maybe it was paint.net.
Yes, paint.net, yeah. Sorry, yeah. And the new advertising campaign was made on Windows Movie Maker. What do we think?
I don't mind it, but it kind of looks... It doesn't look like what it's showing, it's just like... you can kind of make out that it is, Yeah,
they've just rubbed the stuff out. Yeah.
But, that's the thing. It's like the D that's supposed to be a D at the beginning for Dacia is also the C backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then the 2A is obviously the same. And then you just got like a pole in the middle. It looks like some architecture that hasn't been made yet.
Like the Pixar logo with the man that jumps out of it.
Yeah.
Well, it is going to make its debut on the Bigster next year. So we've got a horrible name for the car and a bit of a strange logo as well. But
they're really doing bits, aren't they, Dacia?
I think they're trying to sort of go, ooh, look at us, but I like Dacia because they were humble and because James May likes them. So, I almost feel like saying, Dacia, come on, you don't have to impress me, you don't have to wear makeup. So, yeah.
I've got some, well, rather, I'd say mixed opinion of this car. They've announced a new Ferrari, which you don't really know what it's called yet. It's rumoured to have a 3-litre V6 hybrid, making 700 horsepower. Now, there's been some debate about this engine, obviously. But I'm sort of mixed as well, so I'm open to the idea because, obviously, Ferrari haven't done a V6 engine in ages. Well, I'd say since the Dino.
That's a while.
Yeah, it's ages. But others say, it could be quite good. It is a hybrid, obviously, but to me, it doesn't scream Ferrari, because who wants to buy a Ferrari that's got a V6? It doesn't really make me want to buy it. I mean, the looks, obviously, we've yet to see. But
V6 doesn't sound big enough.
No. I mean, what's the next step though? Like, obviously, it's just going to go down. It's going to go to a 4-cylinder, and it's just that's like saying, my Mazda's a supercar because it's got a 4-cylinder. No, it isn't. It's just a 4-cylinder engine. It doesn't mean anything. The fact that they're just downgrading, obviously, is because of emissions, which we know is a big factor. But also, they're kind of not making it supercar anymore. It's just kind of, it's a car with a bigger engine than a standard Focus, and a Ferrari on it. So yeah, there's that. I wish we had some pictures, but we don't, unfortunately, or the name.
Hopefully soon, but yeah, V6 doesn't sound meaty enough for me.
No,
at all in a car like that. Yeah, final bit of car news from me. It's SUV news, unfortunately.
Boo.
This is all gonna start to sound really, really strange after the first sentence. So, Ford Puma, not the coupe, the horrible SUV one.
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, the new one. Ford are making a Ford Puma ST Gold Edition. You think, all right, fine, another edition car that we feature that no one's going to buy. It's got gold wheels, stripes,
really,
etc. But the reason why this is, I've given this the time of day on the podcast, is that it's been designed by fans of the Ford Puma.
Well, that explains it all, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. So not just the 10 fans that it's got that have got one on mobility, but this is being designed. Ford has enlisted the help of 275,000 fans of the Ford Puma.
There's that many fans?
Have they even sold 255,000?
Well,
doesn't seem like it.
It is one of the best-selling cars. It's overtaken the Focus, I think, in the best-selling car stats. But 275,000 fans to help design a car. They've enlisted their help.
But you don't need that many people to design a car. I could design a car in my bedroom and it still look better than the Puma. So it's just a bit over the top, in my opinion. But what do you get with the gold edition? Is there anything other than the new paintwork and rims and whatever?
No changes have been made mechanically. Okay. The public have had a say on the gold edition nameplate and the detailing inside with the gold stitching, gold stripes. It's basically just a slightly tinged gold Puma.
Right. And is that selling for any more?
It doesn't say. Prices haven't been revealed, but it does have a storage box in the boot.
Okay.
But you can get one of them on a normal Puma.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's basically just gold stitching.
So is it? I'd imagine they'll probably charge you more for that. So just get a standard one, or don't get one at all.
Yeah, you know what you should get? Get an original Puma. That's what you should do.
Yes, that's what you should do. Yeah.
Watch out for
rust.
Or a
new Fiesta.
Or a new Fiesta. Yes.
Right, so it's time to move on to this week's theme of the podcast. You may have seen some videos on YouTube with the title Answering Your Assumptions. A viewer submits their assumptions about the YouTuber, they answer them. This one, of course, is largely the same. It's about cars, though. We all submit to each other are car-related assumptions, controversial opinions, generalizations, etc. And we see if we agree or not. Unfortunately, for the people viewing and listening this podcast, well, especially Bailey has had no idea what this means. So I hope this goes well, but maybe assumptions was the wrong word to use. It's
basically a thing to say about specific groups of people in which we can take the piss out of.
And see if we agree, yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Yes.
Which is what we're about on the Grand Team, and Matty's Cars and Lewis's channel, which we can link later.
Yes.
So, my first assumption is women can't park.
Ooh.
What do we think of this? Well, this is obviously generalising and no sexism at all towards this. So, what do we guys think? Personally, I would kind of agree with this statement because I've seen it myself that women cannot actually park or parallel park, which is another version of parking that they can't comprehend. So if you go into any Waitrose car park, you can see that most of the cars aren't in space. But what do you guys think of this?
Well, if you look at the state of my mum's alloy wheels, then you'd have to concede that women can't park. But I think that it's not that they can't park; it's that many of them drive cars that are maybe perhaps too big for them.
Yeah.
And that is why they can't park. I mean, obviously they could park when they were learning in a Micra or something, but if it's young girls, I mean, I don't know, I'm not sure, but especially mums in big SUVs, even Zafiras, they've never been able to park. So
yeah. I mean, I guess it's it's not necessarily them, is it? It's more to do with the car they're driving. But then again, with all the assists that the car offers, you'd think that they might be able to do a little bit better of a job at parking.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just stressed and got lots on their mind.
Yeah, maybe that's that. But
well,
obviously,
can I just say something here because you've had a lucky escape, Bailey. I'll be very honest in saying this, Lewis, because you were our first reserve. We were meant to actually have a woman come on the show this week. She dropped out. She was busy. Probably parking. But if you'd have said women can't park,
wheels in for a refurb.
Yeah, and then coming for a valet from you on the way back, getting the extension lead out. But would you have said women can't park on if she'd have come on, Bailey?
Yes.
Oh, you fucking wouldn't.
No, but would have been a good conversation with her, because what would she say? That's what I want to know. I might ask this when she comes on later on the
in case you're wondering who it is, viewers, it's Rebecca Jackson from Car Buyer. It's not really.
No, it's not.
No.
Although, going back to the parking thing, the wheels on my BMW have only ever been driven by a gentleman or a few gentlemen, and they are completely ruined.
Really? I mean, it's a big mix. There are some amazing women drivers in the world.
Sabine Schmitz.
Yeah, that's one of them. There's plenty of others. And
Rebecca Jackson.
Actually, Rebecca Jackson. But,
with a banana.
Yeah,
Sorry.
We're not generalising at all.
We're not.
But,
You're not.
No, not at all. But there's specific, to the people that, to the women that specifically don't like or, just think driving is, I'm getting to the place, to the hair and makeup place, and then going home. It's like, they're not really the sort of people that would be good at parking because they don't enjoy it. So, you can't blame them for it, really, can you? So,
I think we should move on.
Yes, because we're going to get a bit controversial in a minute.
You've just offended over half the population, so
yeah.
We need viewers and listeners on this podcast. You're turning them all away.
Well, it's fine because they don't get to this point in the podcast, so we're all right, mate.
Have you got any assumptions, Lewis, that you'd like to throw in?
I want to say something about Audi drivers, because I've noticed Audi drivers and BMW drivers seem to have some sort of feud against each other.
Yes, they do.
Well,
And which one would you say is the worst? I know you're driving a BMW, Lewis, but which one would you say is the worst type of driver, Audi or BMW? Because they are essentially the two worst.
I think, looking at it from the whole picture, I think Audi drivers, because they tend to tailgate more, whereas a BMW driver has meetings to go to, so they will get past you no matter what, but an Audi driver is just bored, so they'll sit behind you to annoy you without actually moving anywhere.
That's very true.
But I've got a meeting to go to, so I'm getting past you.
This is the thing. One of my assumptions was all BMW drivers are arseholes, but that was only to annoy you, Lewis. But I don't know. It's kind of true. But here's my theory about the Audi and the BMW thing. Right? Audis, as you said, will just tailgate you forever. BMWs won't necessarily do that because they're rear-wheel drive and they have the handling capability to do a massive, big fuck-off overtake and get to their meeting. And I don't actually mind my life being put at risk for a few seconds by a BMW doing a bad manoeuvre. I'd rather that than having an Audi stuck up my arse, even though I've moved over, you know? That's my take on it.
I'm obviously, Lewis, we're not having a go at you just for driving a BMW, because you drive an MG. That is essentially your main car, isn't it?
God tier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I don't really see many of those MGs actually around.
I like them.
I do like them. They're cool.
Yeah.
They're really quirky. They're quite different, which is, you know, if I saw you on the road, I'd be like, "That's Lewis. He's in the MG. I know it's you because you drive that."
That's it. That's why I'd have one as if the Saxo went, because they're new or they're modern, but they're alternative, aren't they?
Right. My next assumption is MPVs are unnecessary. What do we make of this, lads? Oh, objection.
Objection number 2.
Go on.
I think SUVs are unnecessary.
Well, this is the thing. I had a sort of thought about this, and I knew you would sort of bring this up with the SUVs crossing over with the MPVs. I mean, I don't think SUVs are unnecessary. I just think they are unnecessary in certain areas. For example, England. But you know, I do like the fact that they go off-road. But MPVs are sort of like, you know, they're just really boring, and they're just like, they're basically just people carriers, and they're just like, you don't need one. You
do. Firstly, there's a big difference between an SUV and a 4x4, right?
Yeah.
That's my first thing to the judge. And the second thing is that you can't say it's, what did you say, pointless?
Unnecessary.
Pointless, unnecessary. Fucking, you know, without the MPV, we wouldn't have the Fiat Multipla or the Renault Espace, and they're great cars.
They're not.
They are.
In your mind, yes, but majority of the England disagree.
I think on a practical consumer advisory note, MPVs like the Zafira, I know there are people who say they're bad cars, but if you're looking at it from a consumer point of view, the Zafira and Friends gives you the height inside for the height of the boot and the height of the passenger space, whereas in the back of, say, a Kuga or a Kadjar or something, it's no bigger inside than a Focus or a Megane.
But they look shit.
They don't.
Yeah. Unless it's the Zafira VXR.
Oh yes, yeah. That is. Come on, the Zafira VXR. That's great, Bailey. Come on. They don't the old one anyway. But saying that, all those Zafiras went on fire, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
It's great. You can fold the seat in 12 different ways, but as on your way to Butlins, the car will burst into flames.
Sure is right for going to Butlins.
Yeah. Shithole.
Who's got the next assumption?
I've got one more here. Well, I've got two more. First one is staying on this theme, really. I've had a lot of thinking about this. Skoda is uncool and pointless, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just basically Volkswagen. They've already got Seat, which is already better than Skoda itself. So Skoda are like the bin category, whereas, you know, actual Volkswagen and Seat are actually a bit better. So yeah, I wouldn't say I disagree. You know, I wouldn't say I agreed. You know, fully. Yeah. Skoda have they've got a good rally team, or do they? I don't know. Their rally team is there. That bit up.
You got the Monte Carlo cars, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their little sort of thing. But I don't know. The reason I think I preferred Skoda when they were in the early sort of years with Volkswagen, because there was still a bit of a distinguishment between Seat and them.
Yeah.
Like they were still sort of.
Whereas they're all the same now. Pretty
budget.
Much.
They were still pretty budget, sort of shitty sort of cars. So, but now Skodas are actually quite good, and you're like, well, wouldn't you just, apart from the price difference, a Skoda's like the same as a Passat, a Superb's like the same as a Passat, a Fabia's the same as a Polo.
But then they are the same cars, aren't they? So.
Exactly, yeah, but wouldn't you just get a Polo then? Because
exactly, that's what everyone does.
Yeah.
What are you getting? You know, I don't know. Maybe you're getting more for your money, but wouldn't you just get a Polo?
Well, this is a good question because, well, I know Rob from the Grand Teeners. He's actually driven a Fabia, like a fairly new one.
Yeah,
they're all right. It was like a 1.2 turbo one.
Yeah, and
he said it just felt really cheap and just horrible to drive. And obviously now he's got the Polo. He says, you know, the Polo is just it feels like a completely different car, even though it is essentially the same car.
Yeah,
yeah, that's just weird.
It's quite interesting that, you know, there's quite a little bit of a difference. I guess that's, you know, because it's kind of a sub brand. It's their own brand that they're not actually designing their own cars as such. They're sort of using Volkswagen as a bit of a, you know, lift. To help them out, and then obviously they're not producing as good of a quality of a car. You know, just everything like in the interior. He said that a lot of the stuff felt really cheap, and like the plastic and everything like that, the seats and stuff. You know.
Yeah, I drove a 2018 Fabia. It was the base model with the 1 litre MPI engine.
Yeah, I think that might be the one he drove as well.
And it was the worst car I have ever driven in my entire life.
There you go.
It was just, there was nothing pleasing about it. The steering wheel was itchy. The clutch, it was a brand new car, but the clutch, the bite changed depending on the day of the week. The brakes.
This is exactly what Rob said as well.
Nothing. The brakes did absolutely nothing. The steering, when you had the steering wheel turned, you didn't even know it was turned because it was so numb. It was just horrific. And that was coming from a 12-year-old Toyota Aygo.
Yeah, well that explains it then, doesn't it? That's kind of the overall evaluation.
Should be better, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more assumptions? I've got one more, I think, before
I do as well.
Move on.
I've got one more.
You do yours then.
Next assumption is the insurance system is corrupt.
Yes. Very good one.
So yeah, I thought of this just because of how ridiculously stupid money I have to pay on my car that's like the size of like a water bottle. Like compared to the cars, let's say, you know, the people that are driving those big SUVs in my area, they're probably paying about £300, maybe less. And I'm paying 1.3 for a car that's half the size, half the, you know, the space and all that thing. Probably the smaller engine, and I have to pay like 5 times as more. It's just, I know it's because of the young age, but Matty, we've had this conversation before, haven't we, about how it should be a different way.
We have. What is that thing where you, like, is it almost like an escape rooms thing? Is what I'm going to use as an analogy, because you pass your driving test and they're like, well done, you've got through that door and here's another door to break into, and it's proven that you are safe to drive even though you've passed your test. So you've got like, how many years is it until our insurance goes down?
It's 3, so like
sake.
I'm pretty sure it's 3 or 4 because it's so it's after 3 years you can start giving lessons because obviously you've had 3 years of experience. So basically,
but when does my insurance go down from when I passed? Because it's hardly moved.
Mine's just gone down quite a lot.
Well, mine started off being $2,500 for a 1.2 engine, which is just absurd, and it went down to what did it go down to? I had a black box, so it went about, I think the second year it went to about $2,000, like 1.8, and then literally the previous year, or the current year at the moment, it was 1,000 and something. But obviously now it's gone up again because I've got a different car. But I think every year it should go down. I don't know if yours have done that, Matty.
Well, mine went down £300 from the first year, and that's not much really because it was 1,200 for a 1 litre car that I could put in my pocket, and then the next year it just didn't move. The insurance didn't move down at all. So I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy this other car that I've got and just pay as much as I was going to pay in the first year for the insurance, but to have 2 cars.
Lewis, what are you paying for your 2 cars?
You're going to hate me for saying this, but my
£300
was yes.
Is it?
For both of them, £300 each, yes.
Wow. Okay, so
What?
this is the whole reason why I brought this up.
Do you have electric gates on your house or so? So what's your secret?
No.
What's your secret?
Well, people in my village, I live in the oil capital of Europe, so people in my village have better things to do than steal cars.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like it's all down to the area as well, and this is what really annoys me, is because just because your area is slightly more expensive than, let's say, Liverpool, then it's a bit more money. I just think it's a bit unfair. It's not really my choice that I've had to live here.
It's supposed to be the other way, isn't it? It's supposed to be if you're from a more rough area, it's supposed to be more because your car's more likely to get stolen.
Well, that's not the case then, because mine's so much money because of how, just because of how expensive this area is, and they know that because they just see all the house prices.
Yeah, but why is that? What's that got to do with anything?
Exactly. It's just that's why I'm saying it's just totally corrupt. Like, obviously you, Lewis, you live in Scotland, which is just, there's nothing there apart from a few animals, and your insurance is about £600. So it just explains that it's all down to location.
Yeah, I think it's a bit antiquated nowadays.
Yeah.
Although the Scottish pound is very strong at the moment, it's £1 to a pound.
Is it?
Oh, okay. So even exchange rate. I might come up, go to Toblerone again. I've been there.
What's the story?
I've got a picture. What's the story exactly? I've got a picture outside Spencer's house.
Has anyone else got any more assumptions?
I've got one more, if you want to hear it.
Yeah, go for it.
The Grand Tour should have stayed in the tent.
Yes, it should have.
Yeah.
I feel it. I feel like I don't know, because I guess they're doing loads more projects and that now, and that's great. Richard Hammond's just announced that he's making a show with Discovery Plus, and they're like, I guess the Grand Tour's on a bit of a back burner at the moment, but no reason to fucking get rid of the whole studio and the conversation street and that. I quite enjoyed that.
I know COVID sort of thrown it all, but I like the audience interaction. And
yeah.
When they were travelling about, if they were in Amsterdam, they would take the mick out of the Dutch, or if they were in Yorkshire, they would take the mick out of them. And
well, they were in Aberdeen for Clarkson's birthday, and they took the piss out of your cuisine.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? Well, this is the thing though. Like, I was speaking to Jack, Mortimer, we had on last month.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like if Jeremy didn't punch that, producer in Top Gear, we wouldn't have got the Grand Tour, the James May Japan thing, and the cooking show, and Richard's big whatever it's called, and then Jeremy's farm. So I think that's quite a good point to, point out that we actually got, more shows even than we would have if they stayed on Top Gear, which they probably would have.
It certainly is, and the whole Clarkson debate thing, I've had this with my dad loads of times, who doesn't particularly like Clarkson. And you can't really defend the fact that he's punched this guy, but at the same time, what you can sort of talk about is how sort of Top Gear was treated with. It wasn't sort of given the credit it needed from the BBC, so they often would get rid of their most viewed Sunday programme, move the schedule to accommodate something like snooker. Yeah. The budget was minuscule, not enough for a show that draws in that many views and makes the BBC that much money. The actual production budget.
I feel like they were stealing money a bit as well, just because of, like you said, the smaller budget than the Grand Tour has. The fact that they, didn't even use some of the money they made. I mean, I don't know for sure, but the fact they didn't have, you can tell the budget difference is bigger on the Grand Tour than it was on Top Gear, which makes you think that BBC kind of took a bit of the money. Obviously they would, but they should have invested it more to the show.
They did. That's how it works. But obviously they could have never have competed with a company like Amazon for the budget. But if you look, the budget was so tiny for a show that done so well for that corporation.
Amazon's got a slightly more relaxed view on health and safety as well.
Yeah.
Which I like. It's obviously you've got to be careful with, you don't want to have accidents, but I felt like the BBC, they couldn't really have as much fun as they wanted to.
They even took the piss out of that as well, didn't they? Like the three of them. So just shows.
Big time. It is great. Anyone that can sort of laugh at themselves and be laughed at, do you know what I mean? Do you remember they used to do look, James is in Heat magazine as the UK's worst dressed man, and they'd be like, yes, and just laugh at themselves. It's just brilliant. Yeah.
Richard Hammond's unofficial calendar.
Yeah. Comparing it to fucking Cliff Richard's one where he's leaning against trees and that.
I went on the internet and I found this.
Oh, it was brilliant. I do miss that. You see, that's what I miss. It should have stayed, or it should come back to the tent for segments like that, because the specials are good.
The conversations are so good.
The specials are good. They're exciting and that, but that sort of comedy aspect of the conversation street and does that mean he's not coming on then? Sort of thing. It's great.
It was just peak. It's just peak British comedy, isn't it?
Yeah,
just can't get better than that.
Definitely. So there we go. Thank you for watching this week's edition of the Car Talk podcast, where we've discussed the latest transportational opinion and car news. That's the wrong way round, but we're going to say thanks now to our special guest, of course, Lewis Mackland. Would you like to plug your fairly new YouTube channel and social medias, Lewis?
Yeah, thank you, Matty. It is the Instagram and the YouTube is both Mackland's Motors, MACKLAND_S Motors for Instagram and YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe for car reviews detailing random things coming soon.
Nice.
And yourself, Bailey?
Yep, as usual, guys, make sure you're subscribing to the Grand Team, which this video and podcast will be uploading to on the channel. And make sure you follow us on all social medias. That includes Spotify. No, it doesn't. It includes Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Twitter, yes. And obviously subscribe to us, as I said.
Yes, and if you'd like to see my channel, it's Matty's Cars on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram, Matty's Cars YT, which stands for YouTube. Very clever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and if you just want my tweets about like the weather and that, it's not really great, but at Manning Matty on Twitter. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lewis, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
it's been a pleasure and great to talk to you in
likewise.
actual environment where we can actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it as well.
It's been great. Yeah, hopefully we can chat more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
See you later.